Well, hello and how are you? Hey friends, welcome to the Shen Show. I am your host, Shenandoah Briscoe, coming to you from right here in St. Charles, Missouri. Yay, got a happy birthday shout out going out to Mama Nash. That's right, Mama Nash, mother of Dana Nash and Margaret Nash and Terry Nash and all the Nash clan, bunches of Nashes. That's right, Mama Nash turns 82 years old this year, so happy birthday to you, Mama, and many, many more, alright? I said, hey, Mama, hey, I heard it's your birthday today, so happy birthday, I'ma say, you know, you're 1 more year older today, so happy birthday to you, I say. Hey, Miss Nash, hey, I heard it's your birthday today. Wow, that's another trip around the sun that you made. I hope you're enjoying your special day because, well, it's your happy birthday, day. I said it's your happy birthday, day. Happy birthday. All right. Got my Shen Show shout-outs going out to my Pokey pal, Amanda S. Little. All right, well, alrighty then. That's cutting her short in there, folks. Looks like a weather forecast coming up to you from Refreshing Word Fellowship Church. Yes, Refreshing Word Fellowship Church is a non-denominational Christian church located at 2054 Campus Drive, St. Charles, Missouri, 63301. Pastored by ordained Pastor John Schumer. Special guest pastor today, this weekend, Nathan Moffett. All right, come on out to Refreshing Word Fellowship Church on Sundays at 11 a.m. for our Sunday services, and then on Thursdays for an hour of power prayer. Yes, that's right, from 1:30 to 2:30. We get in touch with Jesus in your behalf. That's right, an hour of power prayer. All righty then. Hey, you know what? I'm going to get y'all a phone number for this church one of these days. It's supposed to be around here somewhere, but I just don't have it off the top of my head. But anyway, here's that weather forecast that I had promised you. Temperatures got up to around 55 degrees today, but they're going to be chilling out throughout the remainder of the day. Clear skies with low temperatures near 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be light and variable. Southeast at about 4 miles per hour for the remainder of the night. And then Friday, November the 5th, sunny skies with high temperatures around 56 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are going to be south to southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then clear skies overnight with low temperatures of 33 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be light and variable south at approximately 5 miles per hour. And then for Saturday, November the 6th, mainly sunny skies. High temperatures around 63 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds south to southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies overnight with low temperatures of 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be light and variable south to southwest at about 4 miles per hour. And then for Sunday, November the 7th, mainly sunny skies, highs around 69 degrees Fahrenheit, winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies overnight with low temperatures of 45 degrees Fahrenheit, winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for Monday, November the 8th, generally sunny skies despite a few afternoon clouds. High temperatures around 71 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds south to southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for partly cloudy skies overnight during the evening. We'll give way to cloudy skies overnight. Low temperatures of 51 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds south to southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for our fifth and final day of our 5-day forecast for the St. Charles viewing area, Tuesday, November the 9th. It's considerable cloudiness. High temperatures around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds west to southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy skies with low temperatures around 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds south to southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And that, my friends, is your 5-day forecast for the St. Charles viewing area. Alrighty then. Looks like we got some events coming up. And who is our event sponsor? Our event sponsor is none other than Jamie O'Driscoll from Seasonal Wreaths by Jamie. That's right, we've had holidays coming up, and well, I tell you what, there's no better way to find decorations for your home than to go to Seasonal Wreaths by Jamie. She is the one gal that can do it all for you. You just jump on her Facebook page and peruse her pictures of her products, and if you want something personal, she can do that too. Leave her a message on the page and she will get right back to you as soon as she can. Just remember, that's Seasonal Wreaths by Jamie on Facebook. Alrighty, hey, what's coming up? How about the tree lighting on Beale Street? That's right, the lighting on Beale. Yeah, the lighting on Beale is going to be brought to you by the streets of St. Charles. Well, it's 1650 Beale Street, St. Charles, Missouri. Free to all comers, 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. Join us at the streets of St. Charles for the 3rd annual lighting on Beale Street. Watch as St. Charles Mayor Dan Borgmeyer lights the 24-foot holiday tree. Shop at our holiday market and streets of St. Charles shops before and after the lighting for all your gifting needs. So there you go. Make your calendars, mark your calendars for a great event to kick off the holiday season. And I don't even think I told you what day that is. November 17th, 2021. So that's coming up. Oh yeah, I guess I can't look over there. I look over there, but it doesn't do me no good. Be next Wednesday. That's what day it'll be. Not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that. Alright, alrighty then. Now let's go see what else we got going on. We've got Santa Claus coming to town. That's right, all the Santa Clauses are going to be here. Christmas traditions. That's right, Santa Clauses from all around the world. Plus drum and bugle, fife and whatever, Jack Frost, all kinds of little things. Chestnut roasters, over open fires. I'm telling you, it's quite the show. Come on down. It is a beautiful, beautiful setting for Christmas, especially if you like to get Santa Claus pictures for free. Well, there's so many Santa Clauses down here. You can get one for every background that you have. German Santa Claus, Russian Santa Claus, Holland Santa Claus, Poland Santa Claus, all the Santa Clauses from all around the world. That's right, Jack Frost, Sugar Plum Fairies, all kinds of them. Opening Christmas Day, opening on November 26th, 2021, and will be going on through every weekend, through Fridays through Sundays, at the Main Streets of St. Charles, Main Street, downtown St. Charles. It's going to kick off from 500 South Riverside Drive at the Pavilion in the Riverside Park, Frontier Park, that is. And then their procession is going to go down and around and wrap up at the gazebo there on on Main Street, where Santa and Mrs. Claus are going to kick off the Christmas season. So come on down to Main Street, St. Charles, and enjoy yourself there. All right, well, alrighty then. Well, I'm going to do some songs for you, and well, I tell you what, we've got a song sponsor. Our song sponsor is Doug Bell, a.k.a. Steve Clary, a very talented artist from Buford, Illinois, on Facebook and he's an old school rock and roller who sings and plays the drums outstanding. Check out his Facebook page, Doug Bell, or the old one, Steve Clary, and check it out and have a blast listening to Doug perform. Well, Steve perform. Alright, alrighty then. Here we go. Let me get a little sip of the water, sip of the cider, drink of the water, H2O. Good for me, good for you. Well, they got a new dance and it goes like this. The name of the dance is a Peppermint Twist. Well, yeah, you like it like this. This is the Peppermint Twist. Well, it goes around and around and up and down, around and around and up and down, around and around and up and down, and a 1, 2, 3 kick, 1, 2, 3 jump. Well, I met my baby down at 45th Street. Well, the Peppermint Twisters like to meet. And there you'll learn to do this. The Peppermint Twist, goes round and round and up and down, round and round and up and down, around and around and up and down. A 1, 2, 3 kick, 1, 2, 3 jump. Well, it's all right, it's all night, it's all right, it's okay all day, it's okay. You'll learn to do this, the Peppermint Twist. Yeah, yeah, it goes round and up and down, round and up and down, around and up and down, and 1, 2, 3 kick, 1, 2, 3 jump. Boom, 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 boom. Well, there's a brand new dance, and it goes like this. Well, there's the name of the dance, it's a Peppermint Twist. Well, it's all around and around and up and down, around and around and up and down, and 1, 2, 3 kick, 1, 2, 3 jump. Alright, there you go. That was song number 1. Song number 2 coming up next. Well, come on, let's stroll across the floor. Come on, let's stroll across the floor. Now turn around, baby, and let's stroll once more. Feels so good, take me by my hand. It feels so good, take me by my hand. And let's go strolling in a winter wonderland. Strolling, yeah. Strolling, rolling, stroll. Well, rock my soul, how I love to stroll. Well, there's my love strolling in the door. I said, there's my love strolling in the door. Oh, baby, let's go strolling by the candy store. Strolling, oh yeah. Strolling, rolling, strolling. Oh, well, rock my soul, how I love to stroll. I said, come on, let's stroll, stroll across the floor. I said, come on, let's stroll, stroll across the floor. Now turn around, baby, let's stroll once more. Alright, that's it. Hey, that's my singing songs for the night. Hey. Okay, kids, it's time for TV time. TV story time with Grandpa. That's right, TV Grandpa is going to take over and read you a bedtime story. So jump on the couch and jump on the bed, wherever you rest your sleepy head. It's Grandpa coming to you from right here, Grandpa Shen TV time, once again. The Wild Man and the Prince. This is a fairy tale for kids. Once upon a time, many years ago, there was a king who ruled the country of Serbia. Well, one day the king went into his forest to hunt, but instead of the usual game, he captured a wild man. This wild man was different from any human the king had ever seen. Certainly he was far taller and larger, and was completely covered with fur. He moved like a wild beast, and spoke only in grunts and snorts. Proud of his rare catch, the king ordered the wild man to be taken to his castle, where he was locked up for safekeeping in the dungeon. This done, the king put out a proclamation that whoever should dare to set the wild man free would surely be put to death. It turns out that the dungeon where the creature was imprisoned was just below the bedroom of the king's youngest son. Now, the captured wild man cried and groaned all night long, and so at first the prince tried to close his ears to the pitiful cries coming from below, and at last, just before dawn, he could stand it no longer. He crept down to the dungeon, opened the dungeon door, and let the prisoner escape. Next morning, the king and all the courtiers and servants were astounded to hear no more sounds of wailing coming from the dungeon. The king, suspecting something amiss, went down himself to see what had become of his captive. And when he found the den empty, he flew into a great passion and fiercely demanded to know who had presumed to disobey his royal command. Well, all the sentries were so terrified at the sight of the king's anger that not one of them dared to speak. However, the young prince, the king's son, stepped forward and confessed that the pitiful crying of the poor creature had so moved his heart that he himself was the one who had opened the door. When the king heard this, it was his turn to feel sorry, for he found himself compelled to put his own son to death, or make a mockery of his royal proclamation. However, some of his old counselors, seeing how greatly the king was troubled, came and assured his majesty that the proclamation would in reality be carried out if the prince, instead of being put to death, was simply banished. Well, the king was very glad to find a way of getting out of the dilemma, so he ordered his son to leave the country and never to come back. Well, at that same time, he gave his son many letters of recommendation to the king of a very distant kingdom. He also directed one of the court servants to go with the young prince. Then the unhappy young prince and his servant started out on their long journey. After traveling some time, the young prince became very thirsty, and seeing a well not far off, he went up to it to have a drink. However, there happened to be no bucket at all on the wall, nor anything in which to draw the water, though the well was pretty full. Seeing this, the young prince said to his servant, "Hold me by my ankles and let me down into the pit, that I may drink. Then I shall hold you by your ankles, and you may drink." And so saying, he bent over the well. The servant held his ankles and let him down, as he was directed. When the prince had quenched his thirst and wished to be pulled back up, the servant said, "Well now, my good master, I could let go of you, and you would fall in and drown in the well, or you can agree to change clothes and place and please place clothes and place with me, clothes and places with me, and agree that from now on I will be the prince and you will be my servant. Then I will pull you back up. Well, the king's son, seeing that he had foolishly placed himself in the power of the servant, promised to do everything his servant asked him, and begged only to be drawn up. Well, the servant then drew him up, and they changed clothes. The wicked servant dressed himself in his master's fine clothes, mounted his master's horse, and rode forward on the journey, while the unfortunate prince, disguised in his servant's humble clothes, walked beside him. Now, in this way they went on until they came to the court of the king, to which the exiled son had been recommended by his father. Faithfully to his promise, the unfortunate prince had no choice but to watch as the false servant was received at court with the great honors as the son of a king. Meanwhile, he was sent to the waiting area and with the other servants, and was treated by them with all familiarity as their equal in rank. And after having some time enjoyed to his heart's content the luxuries and hospitalities the kings lavished upon him, the false servant began to be afraid that his master's patience might soon be wearied. All the indignities he needed to endure. For what if he worried, and one day the real prince, were tempted to forget his promise and proclaim himself the true prince? Filled with these fears, the wicked man thought all of the possible ways he could do away with his betrayed master without any danger to himself. Well, one day he thought of a way to do this. Now, you must know that the king, at whose court this unhappy prince and the false servant were staying, kept in the garden a great number of fierce wild animals, fastened in large cages. One morning, as the pretend prince was walking in the garden with the king, he said suddenly, "Your Majesty has a large number of very fine beasts, and I admire them very much. I think, however, it is a pity that you have to spend so much money on their food. Why not release them from their cages, send them to the forest with a capable servant, and let the beasts find their own food in the daytime? Your servant will have only to bring them back by nightfall." Well, the king asked, "Do you really think, Prince, that such a man exists who could bring back wild beasts after they were running free in the forest all day long?" "Well, of course," the impostor replied without hesitation. "Such a man is now in your Majesty's court. I mean, of course, my own servant, savage beasts are but pets to him, and he can easily control them to do his bidding. I dare say he may try to excuse himself and say the thing is impossible, but only threaten him that if he refuses to obey or fails to carry out your order, that he will lose his head. And for my part, if he does obey, I am willing enough that your Majesty should have him put to death, for he would certainly deserve that fate." When the king heard this, he summoned the disguised prince before him and said, "I hear that you can do wonders that are able to drive savage beasts out like cattle to find their own food in the forest, and you can bring them back safely at night into their cages. Therefore, I order you this morning to drive all my bears into the forest and bring them all back again this evening. If you do not do this, your head will pay for it, and so beware. Well, the unlikely prince answered, I am not able to do such things, so your majesty might as well cut off my head right now. But the king would not listen to him, only saying, We will wait until evening. Then I shall surely have your head cut off, unless you bring all my bears back safely to their cages. Nothing the poor prince could say would change the king's order. And so the bears' cages were opened. The great bear beasts wildly lunged out, and quickly they scattered into the forest and disappeared among the trees. Well, the prince followed them out into the forest. He tried to follow their tracks of a few of the bears, but soon all of the tracks were lost in the leaves, and he could not find even one of them. Finally, realizing the hopelessness of the situation, he sat down on a fallen tree, thinking over his hard future. He wept bitterly, for he saw no other prospect before him than to lose his head at that night. Well, as he sat in despair, a creature in the form like a man, but covered all with thick hair, came out of the neighboring thicket and asked him why he was crying. The prince told him all that had happened to him, and as all the bears had run away, he expected to be beheaded when he returned without them that night. Finishing his story, the prince examined the large creature before him. He said, You resemble someone I met before, he said. Of course, said the creature. I am the wild man trapped by your father, whom you set free from your father's dungeon. But you speak like a gentleman, said the prince in wonder. And besides, how did you ever find me here? Never mind that, said the wild man. You freed me, and I will free you. He gave the prince a little bell and said, When you wish the bears to return, just ring it gently, and they will come home. Well, now, when all come back and follow you quietly into their cages. Having said this, he went away. And when the sun began to go down, the prince rung the little bell gently. To his great joy, all the bears came dancing awkwardly around him, and let him lead them back to their garden, following him like a flock of sheep. Pleased with his success, he took out a flute and played a little tune as he walked before them, and so he was able to fasten them up again into their dens without the least trouble. Everyone at court was astonished at this. The false servant was especially astonished, though he concealed his surprise. He said to the king, Your Majesty sees now that I told you the truth. I am quite sure the man can manage your wolves just as well as the bears, if you only threaten him as before. Thereupon, the next morning, the king called the poor prince and ordered him to lead out the wolves that day to find their food in the forest, and to bring them back to their cages by nightfall. Unless you do this, said the Majesty, as before, you will surely lose your head. Well, the prince pleaded vainly. The impossibility of doing such a thing. But the king would not listen, saying only, "You may as well try, for whether you fail or simply refuse to obey me, you will certainly lose your head." And so the prince obliged to open the cages of the wolves, and the moment he did, each and every wolf sprang past him into the thickets, just as the bears had done. And he then followed the tracks, but in vain. Then he went and sat down to bewail his all ill luck. And while he sat there in misery, the wild man came out of the woods and asked him, just as he had done the day before, why he was crying. Well, the prince told him, and the creature gave him another little bell. He said, "When you want the wolves to come back, just ring this bell, and they will all come and follow you." Having said this, he then went back into the woods and left the prince alone. Just before it grew dark, the prince rang his bell, and to his great joy, the wolves came rushing up to him from all quarters of the forest, and followed him quietly back to the castle and into their cages. Seeing this, the false prince was flabbergasted, acting as if he knew his servant could easily accomplish such impossible tasks all alone. He advised the king to release the birds and to threaten his supposed servant with the loss of his head if he failed to bring the entire flock back in the morning. Well, accordingly, the next morning, the king ordered the disguised prince to let out all the wild doves, and to bring them all safely to their cages before nightfall. The instant the poor young man opened the cage door, the doves rose like a cloud into the air, and vanished over the tops of the trees. Surely, thought the prince, this task is beyond hope, for even if I had a magic little bell, the doves will soon be far away, and will never hear it. So the prince sat again on the fallen tree, and he could not help but bewail all his past misfortunes and present miserable fate. Well, hardly had he began to lamentate, however, before the same wild man came forth from the bushes and asked what fresh troubles had befallen him, and the prince told him his sad story. Thereupon the creature gave him a third bell, saying, "When you wish the doves to return to their cages, you have only to ring this little bell." And so it indeed happened. For that moment the prince began ringing softly. All the doves appeared from the sky and flocked around him. He walked back into the palace gardens and led them into their different cages without the least trouble. This time all the crowd had gathered to await the return of the amazing servant, as word had spread of his wondrous talents. Leading the crowd in wait was the king himself. When the last of the doves was because of the wild beasts and the birds. Where are we at? Sorry about that. Leading the crowd in wait was the king himself. When the last of the doves was secured, the king stepped before the young man and thundered, "Who are you, truly, that you are able to charm the wild beasts and the birds?" "Because you, O king, have asked me for the truth, I have no choice but to oblige," said the prince. "I will tell you everything." The prince then related how he had offered the king his father, and how he had offended the king his father, and been exiled poor life, and how his false servant had betrayed him, and how the wild man he had set free had come to him out of the fearful traps the wicked servant had set for him. And hearing all this, the king was much amazed, and instantly he ordered the exposed servant to be thrown into the dungeon. Now, no one was more delighted at all this turn of events than the king's daughter, who had secretly fallen in love, not with the visiting prince, whom everyone had expected her to marry, but with his handsome, kind, and mysterious servant. The king gladly granted permission for his daughter and the discovered prince to marry. For a wedding present, the prince asked the king to release all the beasts caged in the royal garden. The prince lived with the princess very happily for many years after this. When the king, his father-in-law, died, he left to them both the kingdom and all of its treasures. And that, my friends, was the Prince and the Wild Beast, or the Wild Man and the Prince, a fairy tale for kids. That's it, kids. That's the story time with TV Grandpa. I hope you're not sleeping and I just woke you back up. But I hope you did go to sleep, because, well, that's a precious thing. Stevie Grandpa gets to lull my babies to sleep. Each and every night I give you a reading so that you may be rested up and ready for bed. Alright, today's devotion in the Daily Bread is going to be Rainy Days. And the Daily Bread part of the program is going to be brought to you by the Bible with Briscoe 2021. The Bible with Briscoe 2021 is a daily reading of the Bible to be completed within 1 year. Today's daily reading of the Bible is going to be Jeremiah 32 through 33 and Hebrews 1. Don't forget to tune in to the Bible with Briscoe 2021 for your daily reading of the Bible. Okay, rainy days. Rainy days. Today's scriptures and insights for rainy days will be Proverbs 11:23 through 26. And so, without further ado, Proverbs 11:23 through 26. Oh, by the way, I'll get back to it. Anyway, here we go. Proverbs 11:23 through 26. The desire of the righteous ends only in good, but the hope of the wicked only in wrath. Only one gives freely, and yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. A generous person will prosper, while whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. People curse the one who hoards grain, but they pray God's blessings on the one who is willing to sell. And there you go. That was Proverbs 11:23 through 26. And what it had to do with rainy days, I'm not sure. But there we go. Had that sneeze in there. It was stuck, and it had to come out. You know it had to come out. Because, well, that's what it did. Anyway, what I was going to say was, the Montabell was the birthday that I was shouting out. Mama, Montabell. So that was who our birthday shout out went out to today. Montabell. Mama, Montabell. Alright, hey, that's the Daily Bread portion of the program, and it was brought to you today by the Bible with Briscoe 2021. The Bible with Briscoe 2021 is a daily reading of the Bible to be completed within 1 year. Don't forget to tune in to the Bible with Briscoe 2021 for your daily reading of the Bible. Alrighty, my friends, hey, that looks like it. That's it. This is Shen Show. Got one more song for you, and it goes, well, goodbye, my friends. It's time to go. I said goodbye, my friends. It's time time to go. I hate to leave you, but I really must go. So goodbye, my friends, goodbye. Ba-do-da-do-ba-do-do. Ba-do-ba-ba-do-ba-ba. Goodbye, my friends. It's time to go. Ba-do-ba-do-ba-do. Goodbye, my friends, it's time to go. Ba-do-ba-do-ba-do-ba-do-ba-bum. Goodbye, my friends, it's time to go. So goodbye, my friends, goodbye. This here has been Shenandoah Briscoe saying hello and how are you? Thanks for tuning in to the Shen Show, and as always, you know God loves you, and so do I. So come back and check me tomorrow because, well, hey, I'll be here, and I hope that you are too.